Today I'll be drawing the crystal gems as evil variants of themselves. First, starting off with Steven Universe. Choosing a dynamic pose, because dynamic poses are cool. Although it's not gonna be in the Steven Universe style. I just ain't that type of artist. I don't know, I kind of feel like it also give it a more grittier feeling if I do it in my style. I also feel like the Steven's gonna be aged up for this. Not because like a lot of time has passed, but because of how his mental kind of affects his actual age. Not like his physical. Time to Stevenify this. That's a nice hand there. It's gonna disappear now. I just think a plain dagger is alright. I'll design it. You know, I already have lore for it. Boom, here we go. He asked this to be made from bismuth. Let's give him some of these pads. What are these called? Shoulder pads or something, I don't know. I'm thinking of kind of giving him like this evil rock star type look with cuffs. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is kind of how I imagine him. Oh, and I think he could also probably grow out his hair. There. Gotta add sharp everywhere. And then a belt going across so he keeps a star. All of this is just to make him appear a little bit more evil, give him a bit more sharp edges, and even make sense character-wise. Alright, time to line this. Give him that, like, big hair. Oh, that's not far down enough. He kinda doing the rock face. I should probably just start filling out the lore for him. I think for this version of Steven, the whole entire reasoning why he became evil was originally, I think it will have to do with Connie. He just never gets rekindled their friendship. So during all the next traumatic moments, like the diamonds and everything, he just absolutely loses it because then he won't have Connie there with him. And absolutely loses and just kills White Diamond. I don't even know how this finger's supposed to look. Does that make any sense? No. That's okay. No one said it had to. Alright, that's better. That's a hand. May look a little bit off, that's okay. And then a second belt, cause you ain't a cool rock star if you don't got no second belt. Like, what's gonna keep your pants up? You know what? I have a big brain idea. Instead of going through my eternal suffering right now, I get exactly what I need. I gotta import a 3D model of a dagger, hopefully, if there's one available. This is not cheating, by the way. This is fair and square. It does look a little lame for a sword. Okay, that is way better. That is so much better. Does he keep the sandals? Ooh. I feel like it's just iconic. I think he needs to keep the sandals. Like, he may have changed everything else. The one thing he will not change is his sandals. These sandals stay. Despite going full emo, the sandals stay on. Like, who is Steven without his sandals? Finally done the sketch. Oh my goodness. My least favorite part needs to commence. He needs some evil lighting. So on the left side, there's gonna be a pink light, more of a greenish blue. Why is this actually good? Like, why is it turning out good? I was not expecting this. What's his motivation? In this universe, they never get back together. Like, that episode just doesn't happen, and then Steven has everything bottling up, right? And then when he goes to Homeworld, he doesn't have Connie with him, and he decides to shatter White Diamond. Okay, now it looks more like leather. A pink shield. And then now I can give it a hard edge. I never like doing this design. I'm not very good at making circles. And this glow's gotta be a bit brighter. Makes his hand look like it's made of leather somehow. I don't know, maybe I'll work on that later. One thing I do need to work on is I need to work on these pants, because these pants are just way too soft looking. Ain't enough hard edges in this. I just need to separate these values just a tiny bit. Even if it doesn't make much sense, I'll just separate them. There, separated. And then for the skin, softer rendering is preferred. I'm gonna make the sword glow, whatever. But I don't think it should be like a very strong glow. I think it should be a very faint glow. Is this too dark? I mean, you can read it. Oh, it's probably because the background's so bright. I don't even know if I should give this like a proper background or what. It just needs to be darker. Nah, I don't really like that. Maybe dry gouache. Doesn't quite have that splash I want. Now that's more so the splash I want. Oh, and then I'll just put smoke on top, why not? Okay. And let's add some pink clouds. Oh gosh. It's just like, it's like going onto the stage. I don't know, maybe I get rid of that part up there and instead just have the smoke. Yeah, that clears it up. Oh my goodness, this looks cool. Whoa. Okay, I was not expecting this. Okay, this is, oh my goodness, this came out so much cooler than I was expecting. I mean, it's a little dark, but boy, does this look cool. The Steven shield glowing. The gas pumping through. Oh my goodness. I think I really outdid myself on this one. And now, it's on to the next. Unfortunately, for the rest of this video, I gotta do a voiceover because OBS had changed my microphone input from my Razer Siren Mini to default. But my default microphone is my Razer Siren Mini. But it didn't work for some reason. Doesn't make any sense. For the next one, I did Pearl. When it came to designing Pearl, I had taken inspiration from the episode Last One Out of Beach City, which is the one where Pearl, Amethyst, Steven all go into the car and go to a rock concert. And she puts on the black leather jacket and she kind of has this like no care attitude. I feel like this is just a push in that direction. It's that punk vibe, so for this, I went all in on making her a punk to give her that evil feeling. And although in the episode she did have a black leather jacket, decided to make it more of a punk leather jacket, like the one where it's more so a vest, I think it looks a bit cooler for this design. When it came down to the pants, I wanted to illustrate that skinny jeans, like she's got it pressed up against her legs, and in order to do so I had to put a lot of folds. Like, look at all that, those are so many folds. And I also gave her boots when she's typically wearing flats, but you're not gonna be punk and wearing flats. When filling it in with a base color, which then I could just lock it, set everything down, I had made like the really dumb choice of using my line art to enclose it in, but since I had so many gaps, I had to fill in those gaps, find those gaps, when in reality it would have been so much quicker if I just lined the entire thing and then used the fill tool. As you can see, I'm going very dark colors while trying to keep the colors more or less the same. Instead of going for a bright saturated blue, I instead went for a more muted blue for pants. And obviously, gotta give her the black eyeliner, the black lipstick. I haven't spoken about it yet, but I really like the idea of the mohawk. I think it really comes together in Pearl's design. For this one, compared to the last, I didn't want to go as far into shading because I felt like this one was going to take me a little bit longer, because unlike the last one, I had the advantage of it being dark. So a lot of the places I just simply didn't really have to render all that well, and then the places that were a little brighter tend to be one value, 1, 2, 3 values, so it wasn't all too bad. But here, given the light source I chose it made everything way more in the light. If I did more advanced rendering, it would have been throughout the piece, and since I still have more after this one, I decided against it. But I don't think that really hinders the piece all that much, as I feel like I still get what I want to portray across, and I also feel like you could still tell what it is, even though it's not as good as I could have made it. And then here we go, the final piece. I do want to mention that the earrings, if you look at it, it's actually based off of Pearl's earring in the pilot, because I still wanted to keep the star somewhere, but at the same time I didn't want to make it so front and center, because I feel like this version of Pearl would be pretty detached from the crystal gems, so it wouldn't make much sense if she had the star play like a prominent role like on her shirt, which is what she typically has. And with that, it's time to move on to the next, being none other than Garnet. When it came to Garnet, I wanted to choose an intimidating pose, and I thought, well, it ain't gonna get more intimidating than what she is, which is pretty much a boxer, brawler. She's got those big gauntlets. They're basically gloves, so boxing stance, pretty intimidating. So, as I've said, when it came to Steven, a lot of sharp points were added to give it the edgier, more evil feeling. And that was, I gave it in certain areas. Like, for example, the chest piece is made up of triangles. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't really thinking about a shape or design, but that's just how it came out. And then I also had chosen to make the, I don't know what it is, because like she's had it in her most recent design. It kind of looks like a corset. I'll say it's a corset because it looks like one. I had made it striped because for this, my big inspiration was glam rock, and there's a lot of patterns, including stripes, although I do not stick with it, because I don't think it really matches Garnet, especially with the more evil feeling. Having something more neat and tidy with perfectly parallel lines just does not match. And for her gauntlets, I just added spikes, so extra damage, lethal damage. Although I feel like I didn't do a lot to make her feel more evil. I just didn't want to change too much about Garnet, and I feel like I played it safe and a little too safe, which instead of coming off as an evil or even an edgy Garnet, this just feels like an alternative outfit for Garnet. Like, you could tell me this outfit is just like, yep, this would be the next outfit she's getting in Steven Universe, and I would completely believe you, except make the chest a little more star. Although, in terms of basic groundwork here, it's not too much. When it does come to the rendering, my color choice, I think, helps a little bit. As you can see here, a lot of the colors I'm using is pink, black, and blue. Also, for some reason, I actually made her hair a little on the brown side, and I actually didn't even realize this until I'm looking at it now. And this is where I changed the corset design from stripes to instead triangles, which yet again, like I said, sharp. You can see this with a bunch of different characters, like for example, one of the most prominent evil characters, White Diamond, all sharp edges, everything. I'm pretty sure her face is even sharp. Fingernails, like everything is just a very triangular motif. Another character that has that is Yellow Diamond. Yellow Diamond, yet again, if you actually look, her boots are pointed from top to bottom, like the top boots, the top of the boots, pointed. Bottom is heels and pointed. A pointed helmet and shoulder pads, as well as, I don't know what it is, it's like this skirt thing that's also pointed. Like, it has 3 triangles. So I'd say so. And an instance of a character becoming evil that wasn't originally evil and becomes more pointed is none other than Spinel. She has her boots become pointed, and her shoulder pads are pointed, and her hair is pointed. So yet again, another pointed. It just gets pointy. So I tried to add a little bit of that here. Here I am checking the values of it. And as you can tell, the blue and the purple are like the same exact value. And that is no good for in terms of readability. So as you can see, I am just changing. I think I make it lighter. Yeah, I make that blue lighter. Just for the sake of readability. See? Now you can actually see it. And I like this a lot more. It comes off just a lot better. As you can see, everything has a triangular motif. Another character that actually has this is Yellow Diamond, and it's very, very prominent Yellow Diamond. You can see it everywhere from her helmet to her boots. Its heels, it's pointed, even her skirt is pointed. And there's even an example of a good character turning evil, and guess what? Yet again, you have pointed being Spinel. Her boots turn from round to pointed, her hairs, those are sharp. So just make everything sharper equals more evil. Understood. And then for my last color, I end up choosing yellow. It's technically gold, but right now it looks like yellow. And I take an inspiration from her future design, because no matter what, I feel like I was gonna have to choose a whole new color. And I personally like only choosing few colors which reappear. But in terms of Garnet's case, a lot of times she has a bunch of different colors which are mostly like different values and slightly different saturations, while they're pretty much the same hue. Keep that colorful design, you know, the callback to glam rock, which is very colorful. And for the shading, I had gone with the multiply layer. I think it's good here. Yet again, I didn't want to go too hard on this one for the same reason. And I also was worried about fatigue, because it would have been 4 drawings back to back, really testing myself. Because I'm not that good yet. Doing something like this, it's pretty taxing. Because 1, I am still trying to get good at rendering without reference. And then 2, I added character design, and it's like, wow. I don't really have much to say on this part. I'll mention it now. The reason why she's edgy, because let's be real, this Garnet is not evil. Edgy Garnet. It'll be the evil Crystal Gems and edgy Garnet. Boom. That should have been the title of the video. Pink Diamond used her more as a weapon during the Gem War. Why? I think she serves more of a fighting purpose here. Pink Diamond was a lot more transparent. Do I call it Rose or Pink Diamond? There's a whole bunch of things that people say about Pink Diamond, because Pink Diamond isn't a good person, and Rose Quartz was portrayed to be a good person. So I was like, do I use? I don't know. I feel like I'll stay with Pink Diamond. I just really liked adding the reflection of the world around, having the gauntlets, being able to see. And I just found that little detail so cool, because I could have done it very simple. Like originally what I was going to do is I was just going to add stripes, and I was like, wait a minute, what makes glasses have, like, it distorts things, but there's something in it. Like you're seeing something through it, because otherwise it would just be black. Or in this case, gold. Rendering the hair for this was so much fun. Like, I kind of just got to lay back and relax and just squiggle, subtract, squiggle, add, and so just keep on doing that, and then boom. I felt a little bit odd about putting her into the blank white void, just existing in eternal purgatory of pure light. White Diamond's light. I decided to give a background. I wanted to go for a certain style. I wanted each brushstroke to be visible. The problem is each brushstroke wasn't made perfectly. I kind of threw them down randomly, tried to adjust it a little bit, didn't come off right. You know, that's actually something I don't hear a lot of, is when a lot of artists are going over their artwork, I don't hear a lot of criticism. Like, there's things, yeah, that you did good. There was things that you like. Now that I'm looking at it in post, here's what I would change. Or do they just, like, go ahead and change it, keep on changing? Because the thing is, one thing I don't like is finishing a piece, like, quote unquote finishing it, right? And then you say you're done. But then the moment you see it again, you're like, whoa, I made this mistake. Let me go back and fix it. Because I feel like you can be down that road forever. And once I'm done, I'm done. Like, usually I give each art piece a day to breathe, and I'm like, okay, within this day, if I notice a problem, I'll fix it. If it's a big problem, I don't. If it's a small problem, I fix, right? In the end, I did actually enjoy this piece quite a bit, especially with the addition of room lighting. It makes everything look a little better. Well, maybe not everything, but it adds a little bit of complexity to the rendering. And on to the final of the crystal gems, Amethyst. When it came to Amethyst build, I had chosen a slightly more muscular build than what's typically most people depict her as she is an Amethyst, and as we've seen every other Amethyst to be on the more muscular side. And if you do look, it is kind of hard to tell, but it does appear that, given the size of her arm, she is on the muscular side. When it came down to designing Amethyst, I had taken inspiration from modern rock fashion. Although, in modern rock fashion, there tends to be a lot of flannels for whatever reason. I mean, flannels are cool, but it's quite a lot. But Amethyst does not wear multiple layers to her clothing typically, except for that one time she had 2 shirts on. So I wanted to keep this more true to her design, which is a little bit more simple in nature. So I just kept the tank top and the shorts instead, made it a little simpler. I think it was a good choice, a good decision. Just like before, I am blocking off Amethyst. Using gray makes it easier to then apply my flats on top of. Working smarter, not harder. In order to make Amethyst's design look a bit more interesting, I had made little tiny details. For instance, I had added rips into the tights, and when it came to it, I mainly thought of 2 different things. One is the actual ripped portion where you can see directly through. And when it came to that, I just made circles and then connected little tiny strands to them. The second part is strands that have been ripped and spread but still there, so there's a level of being a little bit translucent. That adds a lot to it. It adds a little bit more realism. And then for the shorts, I had added the little tiny rip texture at the bottom. I always think those look cool, and it's kind of like an accent, because if you notice, her hair is white and then her boots are white, and then she has like the accent around the shorts. So just gotta keep a level of accentation across the entire piece. I had given her black lipstick, which is now 2 characters that have it, but it's common in rock fashion, and it makes them look a bit more evil. Black, dominating color. And then given her white boots, black laces for a bit more contrast and intrigue. When it came down to the rendering, I wanted to go high contrast, because I have yet to do that. I think that it really supplements here. The way that I have her eyes hiding in the shadow, I think it was a good choice. Now it's time for the lore. So for this Amethyst, I have it so that she left the crystal gems shortly after Stephen was born. Because from the pieces I put together, I feel like Rose was kind of like a mother figure of sorts towards Amethyst since she was born on this planet. So the crystal gems was all that she's ever known. And we've seen Pearl is always beefing with Amethyst. Like, that's their entire thing. They're kind of beefing. So after Stephen was born, Rose Quartz no longer there to be her mother figure, to be her closest friend, her sister, whatever, right? And then 2, Greg, as we've seen, was a very close friend of Amethyst, and they used to spend a lot of time together. But after Stephen came about, they stopped spending time together, as much time together. So I feel like she would feel
outcasted much more than she already does for being, you know, the only one born on Earth and also being smaller than all the other gems. So I feel like this prompted her to leave. And maybe she went off to another city. Maybe she went, I don't know, freaking I don't even know I don't even know what state they're in, whatever. I don't know. She just went across the country, joined a rock band because, you know, she's a drummer and all, and, you know, kind of became this punk. I do feel like she would definitely get reunited with the Crystal Gems during the final act against the Diamonds in this universe. But I feel like before that, I think there'd be minimal to no contact. When it came to the hair, I felt like experimenting. For one, I made it sharp because, you know, sharp equals evil, as I've explained before. I had gone and used only hard values, hard colors, hard brush to try and rendering it, but I used too small brushes, so it kind of came off as this weird cell shaded look. So I quickly rectified it with a round brush, and oh my goodness, there are no mistakes. There are only happy accidents, because this hair turned out so well, and I was really not expecting it, and I am so happy with it. When I had gotten close to the end, I felt like there was something missing. The issue of it being so simple in design meant that if I wanted to make it look even more interesting, I needed to add even more details. So this meant texturing on the tank top. I added like the weird stringy parts. I don't know what it's called, but boom, immediately intrigue added. Wow. I was like, okay, I gotta do that again. So I went for the shorts. And for jean shorts, a lot of them in certain parts get a little bit lighter and they kind of just like in this sort of random pattern. So I added that on top. And then I added stitching around where the belt goes, the pockets, everything. And it really just elevated it. I am so happy with this. For the final finishing touch, making this lighting look better. It was kind of flat looking, but since I already had purple shadows, purple light, kind of boring, I could change the light source very easily. I made it more of a warm light source compared to a cooler one. Adding contrast, warm versus cool, everyone loves it. You'll see a lot of the best pieces. And on top of that, I gave her some bling. Gotta give her a necklace, drip her out a little bit. And that's it. That's all the Crystal Gems. Turned evil or edgy. And guard it.